Am I on? All right, my name is Bill Grupp. I'm a software engineer at Jersey Jack Pinball. And I'd like to introduce a friend of mine. I met Steve in about 1993. I was working at Williams. And at the time, I was working in the electrical engineering department doing cables for pinball machines. Anybody ever own a Star Trek Next Generation? Anybody? Anybody have problems with the cables on the cannons? You can blame me for that. That's all me. So that was the first Steve Ritchie game I worked on. And curiously enough, up until this past year, this is the first time I've done software for one of his games. So I'd like to introduce my friend and coworker, Steve Ritchie.
What? Doing great. I love coming to the Texas Pinball Festival, especially when I have a game. It's fun. I don't miss Texas Pinball. I don't think I've missed it at all since 2004. It is my favorite show, and I love you guys. That's how it is. Wow. Bill's going to be talking about software and our system, and we'll both be talking about the making of the game. It was a lot of fun, I would say, wouldn't you?
It was a lot of fun.
It was awesome, and we had a great rapport with the licensor. Great people to work with. They really gave us pretty much everything we asked for.
They did.
And it was a very easy license, one of the easiest licenses I've ever worked with, no question. What else can I say? We're very proud of it, no doubt. It was a great team. Bill's the lead software guy. Duncan Brown did the lighting. We'll talk about other people that were on the team a little bit later. What can I say? I can say I'm getting older. I just had a hip replacement. This is what old people do. They talk about their health. I also think about my mental acuity. Like, I check my fly about 20 times a day.
It's still there, trust me.
You know, it's just, it's interesting getting older. My hearing is not as good as it used to be, and it was pretty bad then. But still, we communicate, and I don't know. I would say we had a great time making the game.
I did.
We didn't have any wars. I like that. I've had wars with people. Lyman and I had some whoop in the wars, but he's one of my best friends. I love him like a brother, and I'm sorry he's gone. Yeah, he was a great coder, no doubt. Not just a coder, he was a great game maker. He could play pinball very well and understood the game completely and taught me a lot. Of course, I taught him some too. Anyway, that was not this team. This team was a very strong, powerful team, and I'm really happy to be here with Elton John for Jersey Jack. It was a long project, but I don't know. It was worth it and fun, and we'll talk more about it. But first, Bill.
Okay. All right, well, like I said, this is the first game that I've done software with Steve. And it was fascinating to me to watch his process of developing a playfield in a game. So I brought some of the pictures from that time. These go back, a year and a half, almost 2 years at some point. So can start with, here's an early whitewood playfield. I think this is the first whitewood, at least the first one that I saw.
Yeah, that's it.
I got some close-up pictures too. So some of this looks like Elton John, some of it is completely changed.
Completely different.
There's a VUC in the back that doesn't exist anymore. A lot of the places where the ramps start and end have changed. But what I thought was interesting is that, during this whole time, Steve is thinking way ahead. I mean, a lot of times you'll see the first whitewood is just, a bunch of ball guides and flippers. But he's already thinking ahead to what to do for inserts, right? The star was a huge part of Elton John's style guide. The star and the E in his logo with a star in the middle, And big on Steve's list was figuring out how to incorporate a star into the playfield, how to make that an element that we can focus on in the game.
The stars were in the style guide, and they had a distinct, and they demanded certain angles of the points and everything else. I mean, there were dimensions on it, and it was interesting.
So Elton actually has a custom insert just to do the star. So here's another whitewood that's farther along, and this looks.
Can I add one thing?
Please do.
When a whitewood is, after I play it a couple times, you kind of know, well, that shot sucks. You kind of got to get rid of it and move on. And anyway, there's a time where I just abandon that playfield and go for a new one, a different one. And while we're playing this, I'm trying to make it as quickly as I can, but.
And that's a time when I can do almost nothing because he's stripped all the parts off the game I was using. So.
I did.
So this one is a little farther along. It looks a little bit more like the one that you see in production. Has a piano on it. And I remember in the development, Steve's like, and we're going to have Elton at the piano, and his hands are going to play the piano. It's going to be awesome, and he can turn around and face the player. You remember all this?
Yes.
Yeah, and this is the point where we start to see some of that actually happen, right? We've got an armature that would hold the elements that would turn into Elton, right? His head is hooked to a motor that can turn. And for the longest time, I keep hearing, and his hands are going to move, and his hands are going to move, and it wasn't until really late in the project where the hands actually got to move. So we'll get to that. So again, more development of the playfield. We wanted to work in the logo for Elton John, work in the stars again, figure out what to use the stars for. And this is the point where we start talking about what we call as programmer art. And you start to see, labels show up on inserts so we can start calling them something. You start to see we label shots with what they're going to do. There's like the skill shot. We're trying to think through what can we do with these 5 lights? How do they work into the rules of the game? This is our programmer art. I can barely draw a straight line with a straight edge, but
You can write code though.
sometimes. Back in the olden days, it took forever to make ramps, right? When you were developing a ramp.
Yeah. Well, we would have, about 15 years ago, we did stereo lithography ramps, which are made by, like a liquid resin that gets crystallized by laser beams that go into this vat of stuff. And when it's done, it looks like a ramp, but it was so brittle, and it broke so easily. So it was like you could shoot it a few times, but within a week it would be kind of destroyed. So this is 3D printed, it's much stronger.
Yep. But again, they're not very durable. So you
No.
get about a week out of a 3D printed ramp, and then
Yeah.
it starts to fly apart. The jet bumper caps, we wanted to incorporate the Elton with the beanie from older games. I thought that was a cool feature.
Yeah, it's like the Bally, it's sort of like an homage to the Bally cap on Captain Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we did that. Jack wanted that a lot. He kept beating on me about that.
Here's another image of the star insert. Once we had the insert, we started to notice that the fluting on the bottom made a big difference. Each of the stars has 11 LEDs under it.
Yeah.
So we experimented with different shapes, doing it, radial, during circles, and we finally ended up with just it being frosted because that looked the best with the LEDs we had under
Yeah.
it. So.
At some point, I really wish they were clear because we had some clear ones made, and the 11 LEDs under one star is incredible. It was awesome, but it hurt your eyes. It was too bright, and we knew that Mirko would send us kind of milky, inserts that were, they look great and everything, but it did diffuse the light better. And there's quite a few sequences of, while you're playing the game that you can see the work that these guys have done, lighting up the different pieces of the arrow star, and kind of like an explosion. It was one in the middle, then 5, then another 5 on the outside. And it looked great. It still looks great, but I wish they were clear. But
So
we couldn't blind people, and we won't.
we're trying.
What?
We're trying.
Yeah, we tried.
So this is a picture of more of the 3D printed sculptures. We started out with the 3D print, and then that would go to a painter, and the painter would decorate it. And then somewhere along the line, somebody suggested doing the reflective sunglasses, and we had to incorporate that. I remember this was when we first got the crocodile lockup mech all working as one piece.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. That's Nick Jensen in the back. He
That crocodile is a caricature from one of his albums. You look at Crocodile Rock, it's like kind of a cartoon, and we refined it a bit. And, you know, I guess, who was it? Who worked on that? Dave Link.
Dave Link.
Dave Link, and he incorporated the guitar and all that, but he kept the same character, but the toy came out really nice. It's smooth and pretty, and,
Shiny.
you know, it's got a great paint job on it. It's very nice.
Yeah. And you insisted the crocodile had to be playing the guitar.
He had to be playing the guitar.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so you start to get these 3D printed pieces on the game, and you kind of get the feel for how they're going to work into the rules and how to make them fun. So the crocodile can rock back and forth. And you know, I credit Duncan Brown with being able to figure out how to make him exciting, because you can rock him back and forth. That's all you can do. But he took the time to put in the work to make that, you know, crocodile rock to every single song that's in that game, and it lights up that game when you see him doing something fun. Another 3D printed part was the piano, and this is the first time we saw the parts to come together where it actually looks like a piano in the scale that fits in the game. I just thought that was neat. Do you remember who came up with the idea to put the display on the front?
I don't know. Well, we knew that he did that. Elton actually did that in his Las Vegas show, and I guess it was a residence for a while. And he had LED screens all over it, and it was like, it looked like it was burning on fire. It was very nice. And I think Tony, what's his last name?
Marino.
Yeah. I think he found the display and said, oh, I think we should try this. That's what I remember anyway.
Yep. Yeah, so you can see, this is the first time we had the display actually mounted on the piano. Another one with it in the game. Again, no actually Elton in the game.
There's 640 LEDs in that thing.
Just in that thing, yeah. Yeah. So, and then we finally got, oops, I missed the button. So then we finally got an Elton that would sit at the piano.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a toy you could buy. So we bought the toy. It's got like a chrome piano. It was way too big, though. That head is way bigger than the head we ended up using. And that, how do you like that metal body, huh?
So, and then Tiny Dancer. Do you remember Tiny Dancer?
Tiny Dancer was a brittle little piece of plastic. That's Tiny Dancer that got broke off every day. Every time I worked on the game, I broke one.
I talked to Dan Malter's the guy who does a lot of the 3D printing at work, and I'd see him on the way out in the evening, and he'd say, "I'm printing you a new Tiny Dancer, and I'll put it on in the morning before you get in." I'm like, that's awesome. I'll get to do some work on this. And I get in the morning, and this is what I see. And I'm like, "What happened?" And Steve's like, "I broke it again."
All you had to do was, if you were working on the game, you caught your sleeve or anything else on it, just snap off. So we ended up using a little softer, more durable plastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Painted up really nice, too. Another job from Dave Link.
Yeah. So, and then the CE
shooter knob.
handle.
I designed the shooter knob, and
again, incorporates the star from Elton John.
and glitter on the inside. And I don't know, it feels good. It's like tapered like this, so you can get a good grip on it.
Yeah. This is where we first got the, can we play this? Go. First got the piano actually doing display stuff. And
It was nice.
that was really
Still
cool.
is.
Yeah. Mark Molitor is the guy who did a lot of the graphics for the piano display. And I think the display is 57 wide and 10 pixels tall. So it's like a quarter the size of the old dot matrix display on the pinball machines. So Mark's drawing on this giant screen that he has for his, Photoshop and After Effects and stuff like that. And he's got this little tiny thing in the middle that's 57 pixels wide and 10 pixels tall. It drove him crazy. Because, he's looking at this little tiny box, and then I have to put it actually in the game so he can see it full size and see what it looks like. I think there's something like 10,000 images that we generated just for the piano.
Yeah, it's a tremendous amount.
Like I said, it finally got to the point where they gave me a working Elton head, and I could make it do stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, the licensor was not thrilled about the head turning around backwards, so I had to do quite a bit of work to make sure that didn't happen. It's another view of the playfield, and we start to get the things like the rocket working. All the LEDs in the rocket and the tail was actually lighting up, so we could start to make some of that fun. And I think there's an animation here. No animation. How come that doesn't animate? And I think this is the rope light. This is showing the rope light where it goes around the ramp.
Rope light was a pain. We had to make it. We had people in China, assembling the LEDs and then putting them in tubing, and then we clamped them along the ramp. It's been very reliable, which I'm happy about.
And then while this is going on, I'm working with JP DeWin to come up with a UI for the game to make the rules understandable. And one of the things I wanted to do in this game is to make it much more easier to understand what's going on, to not have the entire screen filled with something. So we kind of tried to move everything to the outside of the screen. And this is the start where you see, that one corner is for the crocodile, one corner is for the rocket, one corner is for the song, and then the bottom area is just kind of your scores and stuff. But again, trying to make it much easier to approach the game and understand what's going on. So some of the other, again, incorporating the star from his style guide into the UI, and then this stuff moved around a little bit because in the final version the crocodile is in the top right and the rocket's in the bottom right. So.
I just want to say this: John Paul DeWin and Olaf. What's his last name?
I don't know.
We don't know his last name. Anyway. These guys are spectacular. They work in the Netherlands, and we're communicating sometimes, a lot of times during the day. And the animator is spectacular. I love his work. It's like some of the best I've ever seen in any pinball game, and I don't know. I'm in awe of those guys. I mean, they did a terrific
really
job.
Incredible work.
And they're working with Bill and Mark Molitor also. It's a lot of work, a whole lot of work.
And then as we progress farther in the project, we start to get samples of the artwork. So this is the first sample we got of the back box artwork. And just this kind of stuff just blew us away because it really is amazing how well this works on the side of a pinball machine.
Yep.
Chris Franchi and...
Where are you, Chris? He's not here. He went out to the Hard Eight to eat. Shame on him. He should have been here. Nah, it's okay. Great artist.
First sample of the platinum side art. Again, it was just especially the glitter in the side. It's just amazing to see. You don't notice it at first, but if you walk up, when the light hits it, you can just see the glitter come off that. It's just amazing. Yep. A lot of it is images that they provided from his career, and some of it is stuff that was made new. That's a better question for Chris Franchi and see what he Again, incorporating a lot of his stuff from his career, his shoes, his sunglasses, his hats. We had a long discussion with the licensor on trying to get a collection for every song. So every song has a set of shoes, a set of glasses, and an outfit that's unique to that.
16 songs, folks.
Some of the first samples of the playfield. This one looks quite a bit different than what we ended up with, but again, this was a process where we're working.
John Yelsey first pass. He started on one playfield.
Yep.
And then it got transferred to John Yelsey, to Jean-Paul DeWin and Chris Franchi. So that changed.
So another preview we had of the playfield artwork. Let's see what else we got here. So, you see it? And then, so this was a first sample of our crocodile after it was painted, decorated. Nice shiny glasses. Let's see if we got it.
And the tiny dancer.
And this one's not broken.
It's not broken. That's right.
What else do we have? First sample of the back glass, kind of mixed in with the Godfather thing here.
Yeah, sometimes we have to, if we don't have anything else, we'll grab a game and start with it, or that game's already there. We'll pull off the Godfather back glass and put that glass on there to see what it looks like. Because, in our cabinets, we didn't have the exact same lighting that we wanted, and so it's a little bit different.
Yeah. You remember this? This was our first actual ramp off of an actual vacuum form ramp off a mold.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took a long time to get that ramp.
It's pretty terrible in that pass. It's a tough thing to make, that ramp. Very tough.
Yeah. So here's our rocket. It's actually lighting up, painted version of the rocket. There's 31 LEDs just in the rocket.
Yeah, and this was the first pass where we just had white LEDs in it, or that's all that was turning on, I guess, at the time.
Yeah, well, you can see some of the color off to the side, right? This was our first hand-painted Elton.
Yeah, those pieces were interesting to make. Again, Dave Link designed the body. It's basically after his, 1975 or 76 show in Dodger Stadium. He wore a baseball suit. I don't know if you guys know this, but, it's an homage to that, and so we used that costume.
Yeah. So, there's his hands, which attached separately so they could move. It's our first pass at trying to do getting the number one. And then
Yeah, I tried to make his hands move up and down first with I was going to attempt to use a wire and a little coin lockout coil to make them go up and down, but they were so big they wouldn't fit underneath the thing. And then I had this brainstorm and decided that we wanted to use magnets and make his hands steel with a spring in here, and so it's almost wearless. It'll work forever, I think, pretty much. The magnet sucks his hand down to the keyboard and comes back up, and it worked out great. And Bill programmed every single hand movement for every song.
every single
I'm
16
thinking,
songs.
what a sucker. No, I'm not. I'm not thinking that. All right, anyway,
So-
that was a hell of a lot of work.
And that's what the bottom side of the Elton looks like. So the motor to turn his head, and then you can see the hands are metal, so they pull down to the magnets under the piano.
That motor has a tiny magnet in it that makes a switch when it's lined up with the piano, not the audience, the piano. And so these guys wrote code that they would count off the steps on the stepper motor, and we could make it do many things. He looks around, sometimes for a while, and sometimes for a very short time. It's interesting, and I think it looks great. That's my opinion, anyway.
But it doesn't go all the way around in a circle.
Nah, it doesn't go all the way around.
It's not, absolutely does not do that. So, what else we got here? Oh yeah, so here's my test when I'm testing the head actually moving. And this is not very exciting, but it does move. But one of the things you have to do very late in the project is you have to write a test for the factory so they can test the piano before it goes into the game. So I was working on that. All right, here's another fun thing that happens when what's going on here? There we go. So do you remember this? Do you remember the problem with the lockup?
Yeah.
So we had the piano lock up, and it was working for a couple days. Then all of a sudden, the balls weren't coming out, and I was like, "What happened?" You know, I didn't change anything. I didn't change the code. I didn't change the mech. You didn't do anything, and it just stopped working.
No, I didn't change anything.
And so, trying to figure out what's going on, and this is a little movie of the. I don't know if you can see it, but the tip of the plunger is actually grabbing the ball. And I've got it here. I got it.
It's actually too long and the pulse is too short, but we didn't want to leave it on too long, otherwise it would burn up.
Yeah, but here it is in slow motion. You know, it'll take a second to happen. But we found out the tip was actually magnetic and it was grabbing the ball. And you can see it where it'll suck the ball up here in a second. Right? There. Right? Just grabs right on the ball.
It does it again.
Yeah. So now the production version has a nylon tip, so it can't actually stick to the ball.
And it's shorter and the throw is longer.
Yeah. Topper. I want to tell the Topper story. Do you remember the Topper story?
Yeah, they had like a whole bunch of leftover LCD displays from Toy Story, so I thought I would put 2 of those up there, and because when you go to a show, they've got these big giant screens, you know, with Elton on them, and it feels like a show. And then I started trying. I went to a Mexican restaurant that we go to, and they had this big disco light thing. It was cool. We couldn't fit that on there, and it was like dangerous anyway. I mean, it was this big, and you know, it flung 5 or 10 pounds of weight around, so we weren't about to put that on there. But
do you remember when we're like, what are we going to do for the Topper?
Yeah.
And you're like, let's go for lunch. And we go to lunch, and there's this giant disco ball on the ceiling. You're like, that's what we need right there.
Yep. So anyway, we found a disco light that fit in that area, and they custom made it for us. It has, what do they call them? They call them, God, do you remember?
Yeah, diffraction gratings.
Right, diffraction. I'm the one that told you.
Yeah.
Okay, diffraction gratings. But he's right. I couldn't think of it.
So that's this thing. If you've never heard of diffraction gratings, because I didn't know what it was when we started.
Anyway, we had them custom make the ones that say Jersey Jack on them, and Elton John's face, like the jet cap, and what else? I don't know. There's about 5 or 6 different things it does. Plus, it's got some laser lights. It's also got 3 strobe lights in it, and it's got this big thing in the middle with it's a lens, is what it is, with I don't know what you would call that many-sided thing, like.
Yeah. So this is a
mega
picture.
multihedron. Okay, there it is.
There you go.
And anyway, they put out dots of LEDs in color, and it revolved, and it looked great. It looked like, you know, a little reminiscent of a show. So that's what you're going to see on your ceiling in your game room, and that can be adjusted. That's on the CE only.
Yeah. So this is the picture of the diffraction grating, and when we first got the disco light, it was set up for a Christmas scene. So we had Santa Claus, we had snowflakes, we had
everything
sparkles, and then we had to learn how to find a company that could create our own diffraction grating, so we could have the E-Star, and we could have the Jersey Jack logo, and the guy with the beanie. So that's what's in the game now. Here's the first mock-up of the Topper. We had the 2 screens and the disco ball in one place, yeah. So, and there's what it looks like in the final game now. Superstar, everybody know what Superstar is? Superstar is a carryover feature like
Ransom in Black Knight.
Yeah.
You accumulate the letters as you go.
Anybody know how to get a Superstar
carry
letter?
over from game to game. If somebody else comes along and plays it, they're going to benefit from it if they can get the remainder of the letters.
That's right. So to get a Superstar letter, you need to get a super jackpot in any of the signature stage multi-balls. And if you get the 10th one, you get the Superstar jackpot. Carryover feature, just like Ransom.
I've never gotten it. I'm not that good of a player, though.
So I saved this picture because when we were working on the disco light, we kept having to take it off and change the settings on and put it back on. And it wasn't until like 3 weeks before production that somebody had the idea to actually put slots in that bracket so you could take it off.
I think it was Chris.
So another behind the scenes look when we have the game actually working in engineering. This is one of the games that ended up being at Pinball Expo when we did the debut. But you get to see the actual topper on the ceiling. Jack comes into town, gets to play the game. You know, this is the exciting time in engineering for us, when we start to show the game to people and they get to see, you know, the work we've done over the past year. So, this is my view from my desk, staring at the side of the game for something like 9 months.
Yep.
Just like that. Of course, there's always people in there wanting to do stuff on the game. Never get a break to try and get some work done.
Yeah.
And then I really like when you get closer to production, because they start, you know, getting all the stuff you talked about for a year starts showing up. You start to see all these pieces come together, and they build all these little assemblies that go into the game long before. This starts like a month before we actually start production. So you start seeing all the pianos show up, piles of Tiny Dancer, and they're not broken.
I know. This is probably the most elaborate playfield I've ever made, and I could probably only do that at Jersey Jack. You know, it's like, I love being able to. It was cool, and you know. What's that? I didn't hear it because I'm deaf.
Handcuffs.
Didn't anybody tell you?
Yeah.
We can talk after.
Lots and lots of crocodiles. Lots of crocodiles. Yeah. This is the first game for the production line actually going through playfield test.
Yep.
Yeah.
That lady is
Sorry.
Ashley. Her name is Ashley, and she is incredible. Like, she ran the whole factory pretty much. Just taking care of everything. A great worker. One of the best I've ever worked with, and I work with a lot. She's something.
And here's a picture of Steve just after he got his hip fixed. Literally like 3 days after he was out of the...
Yeah, I don't work with a power on any pinball machine. They stopped that at Stern. I wasn't allowed to. Got to turn the thing off. I blew up so many PC boards. I just like, you know, that's not my thing. I did learn to turn off the game. I mean, I can adjust switches as good as the next guy, or, you know, simple things like that, but I tend to short things out. It just happens to me. So I don't do that much. That's a flipper adjustment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. So this is our party at Pinball Expo, just a private showing before the show, just before the show, actually. And we had all our distributors in there playing it. It was a fun night.
It was a fun night. It was, you know.
They were charged up about it, no doubt. We all were.
So we'll do a few more. So, and then the other payoff is seeing all the other people play the game. So, Eugene Jarvis, Roger Sharp,
Yeah.
Ed Iappa, yeah. Roger playing the game. That was fun. And then the Christie's auction. That was something that was set up from the start of the project. Is that
Yeah.
when the game was done, Elton was to have a benefit for his charity, for his AIDS Foundation, and we would be a part of it. But just seeing, you know, what they did with that game at that auction was just amazing. I think it was $55,000 that game went for.
Yeah.
And, you know, just using the artwork from our game in their advertisements for the show was just amazing.
It was awesome.
That's all I have for pictures.
That's okay. We don't need any more.
All right.
That's pretty much it. However, there was an Oscar night party that Elton threw with a whole bunch of celebrities, and God, I think it earned $8 or $9 million. But two guys were arguing the price, and they got the price of the game, you know, both battling in this auction for $200,000. They're up there, and nobody would move, and so Jack and the billionaire guy said, we'll throw in another game. You can both have one for 200 grand. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That was for Elton John's AIDS charity. He's been doing that for a long, long time.
Yeah, that was at the Oscar watch party?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Anyway, it's been a long haul. That's the longest probably I've ever worked on any one pinball. I've worked on video games that long, but not a pinball. However, it's, I don't know, a great experience.
Would you do it again?
I'm very happy, I guess. I left Stern pretty unhappy, and I just wanted to smash their fucking heads in. Now, don't anybody repeat that. I'm going to get in trouble. Don't anyone repeat that. Thank you very much. Anyway, I don't really mean that. I don't want to hurt anybody at Stern, but I got frustrated. It was because there was no, I make a Led Zeppelin game. I make a plan for every game. I try to, take the best of the best and make that into a game, incorporate everything that's top notch about the theme. So I made a Stairway to Heaven, and they didn't get the song, so I had to take that out. It's just like, you don't make a Led Zeppelin game without Stairway to Heaven. You don't do that. But I got to live with it, and I don't like it. And so that and a few other events, I'm not doing it. I do love pinball, and pinball people are some of the best people I've ever met in my life. It's like a great group. For me, it's not about the games anymore, half as much as it is about the people. And I felt like I can't serve them. I have more to say, but that's enough for now.
Should we see if there's any questions?
What's that?
Should we see if there's any questions from people?
Yeah, we can see. You guys got questions? There's a mic right there.
Yeah, you have to come up to the mic if you want to.
And if they're for me, Bill's going to translate them because I don't hear what the damn speakers over there. I can't blame it on the speakers.
Bill, two-part question, but
Sure.
I'm first going to tell you. His wife Diane and he both like Captain Fantastic from way back. So here's the question. Has Diane played Elton John yet, and what does she think?
Oh yeah, she got to come in pretty early in the project and play the game when it was, still in prototype stage. So, yeah, she really likes it.
I didn't hear the question.
Diana, she liked the game?
Oh, yeah, Diana likes the game. I think she liked Elvis better, though. She cried when I got rid of it. And then, and she really loved AC/DC, too. She said, it makes me feel like a rock star. Those are important things. I want to, she's not here tonight. She's in the building, but she's not feeling very well. And I just want to say that she is a great woman, and without her, I would be nothing. That's it in a few words.
Go ahead.
Okay. Jack's not here tonight. He's in Hawaii. Y'all know that. So
Jack's not here.
he's in Hawaii.
What's the comment about
He
Jack's
hasn't-
not here?
He hasn't got to the question yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He said Jack's
Well, I
not
was
here.
gonna
So.
tell you,
Yeah.
what do you think about the expo when Jack dressed up as Elton John in costume?
What did you think of Jack dressed up as Elton in the Dodgers
I
uniform?
think he looked marvelous.
I thought that was fantastic. And one of the things about Stern, when he left Stern, now the handcuffs are off.
What was that?
Sorry, what was the?
The handcuffs are off when he worked at Stern. Now he's worked for Jack.
Oh, the handcuffs? Do you have no handcuffs anymore now that you've left Stern?
Yeah, there's no handcuffs anymore.
So, all right, good. All right, any other questions? Let's keep going.
It might be better if you just said it because it's a mess for both of us up here. We don't really, the speakers aren't pointed at us. Come on up or just say right there. And
All right.
Filter.
So, what did you do with
Yeah,
the
the-
flippers on this game?
what did I do with the what?
The flippers on this game.
What did I do with them?
Well, they're so much different than the previous Jersey Jack machines.
They're so much different than our other games.
I didn't do anything. I like, when I was interviewing to work at Jersey Jack, I did mention it, and it was like, first time I tried was like 5 years ago, or no more than that, more like 8 now. And the second time, I just said, I don't like your flippers. I mean, it's it's a beautiful game and everything else, but the flippers got to be fixed, and they did. They fixed them. I had nothing to do with it other than bring it up and say that it was important.
I think that started with TS4, didn't it? TS4, Godfather, and
So yeah,
Elton
so
John all have the newer flipper boards.
So we came up with a new I/O board for Toy Story, so that you could make the jump ramp. Right. So it had a stronger flipper coil for the jump ramp. So the left and right are different on Toy Story, and the driver board is modified again to support making that jump ramp consistently.
That makes sense.
So, and that driver board's been in every game since Toy Story. It was just a drop-in replacement.
Yeah, it's a nice improvement. So
So
I have
you-
2 quick questions.
Sure.
One, the VUC/ball lock for Crocodile Rock, it holds a ball, and you can also send a ball in, and it can launch that second ball out. Is that a unique mech? I've never seen anything like that. That works that way.
I think it's unique in the shape of it. Do you understand? You want it?
I haven't heard a word.
He's asking about Crocodile Rock, the lockup.
Yeah,
He just asked if that was a unique mech.
yeah, it's a unique mech.
Yeah.
Because it can hold a ball and still launch the second ball that
Yes,
goes in.
and the only thing it was a pain because the part that kept one ball from going in kept breaking. I tried to use the same pin, but the flippers are hard, and then it's a downhill, gravity helping the force of that ball, so it break the pin, chip it off. I realized I couldn't make it, a pin work, so I looked at something that Eric had done in his game and multiplied it by 3 and stuck it on there, and that didn't break anymore. And
It works great.
It works
yeah.
well.
My second question, just basic question, but the outer artwork, you've moved away from decals and stickers, right? It's actually plastic on the cabinet?
Well, yeah, just barely.
It's better if you don't use the mic for us.
For everybody else.
Yeah, but it's
Try it again, would you? That's fine. He can hear, I can't. Would you like to restate your question, sir?
You can say it. Just come up here and say it so we can hear it. Yeah.
On Toy Story 4, all y'all use radicals or decals inside the cabinet. I guess you weren't there yet. Now you're using like a plastic that's printed for the cabinet?
No, so the only change for this game was we used radicals on both the Platinum and the Collector's Edition. So, yeah, so radicals are artwork printed on the back of a clear plastic. Okay. Right, and that's adhered to the game.
You did not do that on like Toy Story.
That's been on every CE game, since I've been in the company. Yeah. Yeah. The sparkles are new. Sparkles on the radicals are new.
It's how
This
it's
is
applied.
the first game that's done sparkles in the radicals. There's sparkles on the playfield. There's sparkles on the radicals. There's sparkles on the plastics. There's sparkles on the decals on the apron. We have sparkles everywhere. It's Elton John.
Any more questions? None. All right, well, great. Great to see everybody here. I'll be talking to you out on the floor. I don't know, Texas Pinball is a great show, and I'll be coming here as long as I can. And that's that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.